For the French, the Louvre is more than just a museum. It represents the country's history and sits at the center of French culture and identity. That's why it was supposed to be untouchable, an impregnable fortress. Yet on the quiet Sunday morning, in a heist that lasted only 7 minutes, this wasn't just a robbery, it was a strike at France's history and its national pride. But here's the twist. This was not a sophisticated high-tech job. A lift, a window, a saw, and 7 ruthless minutes. Can France catch the thieves and save the jewels before history gets melted down? For the French, the Louvre is more than just a museum. What was once a royal palace became a public treasure house that France prides itself for. It represents the country's history and sits at the center of French culture and identity. That's why it was supposed to be untouchable. The cultural and historical value of the Louvre turned it into an impregnable fortress, guarded by scanners, cameras, and a small army of staff. It was believed.
Okay, first thing I'm going to say is nothing's impregnable. If somebody has the means and the power and the will to go get something, they're going to try their darndest to do it. And as security or policemen, we have to think of every possible scenario. We call it what ifs. You what if yourself to death sometimes just to make sure that you can cover every angle a bad guy would cover. Just like, somebody wants to save money for a new car, a new house, or a nice dinner, or Christmas, whatever, they're going to put their mind to do it to make sure that they accomplish their goal. Same with bad guys.
To be the most secure place for any priceless piece of art. Yet on the quiet Sunday morning of October 19th, that illusion came crashing down. In a heist that lasted only 7 minutes, a crew slipped in through the second-floor window of the Galerie de Poland, like a scene from Ocean's 11, and emptied 2 cases of crown jewels. By noon, streets were shut off. The French public was in shambles, and every screen in Paris carried the same headline.
The sprawling international manhunt underway this morning after thieves took priceless jewels from the Louvre Museum in Paris.
This wasn't just a robbery, it was a strike at France's history and its national pride. This is how the Louvre got hit, in broad daylight. For a long time, the Louvre has felt bulletproof, a palace-turned-museum that seemed beyond risk. However, this is not the first heist the Louvre has known. In 1911, Vincenzo Peruggia, an ordinary handyman, lifted the Mona Lisa off the wall, hid it, and turned it into a global obsession. After a 2-year-long search, the painting was found in Italy and restored to its place at the museum. Since then, security was rebuilt, and the Louvre has proven to have earned the status of an impregnable citadel. The masterpieces of art and national symbols
Not so impregnable when the crown jewels are stolen, right?
it held were safely kept behind layers of protection. Cameras tucked along the walls, locked doors, and guard routes planned to the minute.
Okay, that's the first thing. Guard routes planned. Guard routes have to be documented, but they should never be planned, because when you plan them, people who are watching monitor those and they see the times that they're being done, and that is part of their execution of their plan to steal something.
Museum ran like a clock with controlled entrances and a 24/7 operations center. Despite all of this, the unthinkable happened when everyone least expected it. The heist took place in the Galerie de Poland, a hall that houses what is left of the French crown jewels, necklaces, and ceremonial pieces tied to French nobility. The gallery was not remote. It is located in the inner circle of the museum, only 250 meters away from the Mona Lisa. In this zone, everything says safe. Crowds of tourists, thick glass panes, vibration sensors on the cases, motion alarms in the corners, and guards who study every move. The one place you'd swear no one would dare to rob. And that's exactly why the hit felt more like a heist movie than a real incident. But here's the twist. This was not a sophisticated high-tech job with lasers and explosives. It was brilliantly simple. A lift, a window, a saw, and 7 ruthless minutes.
Again, the simplicity of it all, but they were ruthless. They wanted the jewelry, so they were ruthless in getting it, just like you need to be in life too. Whatever you want, you need to be ruthless.
It was clear that the heist crew did their homework beforehand. They chose Sunday morning, the quietest hour of the week, when foot traffic is low and response times are longer. They came dressed like French workmen in their famous yellow jackets and rolled up an ordinary basket lift to the same-facing facade. The placement was
Where's security on the outside? Where is this 24/7 operations center? You see somebody rolling up to the exterior to do some work, and you're not going to go out and question that. There's no work orders. There's no pre-knowledge that, you're going to have people come show up to work on a lift.
chosen with meticulous care, near a construction zone, exactly where a lift wouldn't look out of place.
Again, this is what I've said multiple times, where a lift wouldn't look out of place, but it was near a construction zone. It wasn't on the construction zone, it was near a construction zone. If you see a lift and it's 2 blocks away or across the street and there's a construction site across the street, why is that lift not across the street on the construction site? Why is it here? And address it. Again, with being impregnable, they should have had foot patrols, they should have had that on camera, and that should have been stopped and questioned immediately.
And just far enough from the main flow of guards. At roughly 9:30 a.m., 3 or 4 men went up the lift to an
This just said the main flow of guards. To be impregnable, you need guards everywhere, at every point of the day, not just they're flooding an area. You need coverage everywhere.
upper floor window and forced it open with a blowtorch and a small chainsaw. Once inside the gallery,
They had this 24-hour operation with cameras. That is an exterior door or exterior window. You see somebody taking a blowtorch to it or a saw, you may want to send an officer over there to question it. So I don't know what the 24/7 operation unit is really supposed to be doing.
they didn't wander or hesitate. They beelined to 2 specific cases with their grinders in hand. The grinders roared
Ruthless, and they knew exactly what they wanted. They went to 2 cases.
to life, and in under 4 to 7 minutes, the reinforced glass turned to dust under them. This is a real video shot by a tourist of one of the thieves while trying to get through to one of the jewels.
4 minutes, and nobody responded. Not one security came over and put their hands on them.
The thieves managed to scoop 9 specific jewels, a tiara, a brooch, and a crown belonging to Empress Eugenie, wife of Napoleon III, and a bunch of other jewels similar in value. Alarms did sound, and protocols were followed.
We were just ready to go in to see the Mona Lisa when they swept us out of the gallery, swept us down the stairs by the Wing Victory. Then we were headed out the exit. We didn't realize the whole museum was being evacuated.
Security locked down the room, avoiding a physical fight with the robbers.
Locking down the room to avoid a physical fight you are in the process of being robbed is the most ridiculous thing. Listen, I'm not one to push violence or promote violence, but sometimes in this line of work you have to go hands-on, and the gentler approach where you're locking the doors is just you have to put your hands on people. I'm sorry, it may end up in a fight.
They then started the evacuation of the museum immediately while waiting for the police. However, the delay between the breach and full response was all the thieves needed to get in, grab the jewels, and then retrace their steps out of the window. This
Okay, that place should have been locked down tight. Nobody should be able to leave, not escorting people out. And the outside perimeter, at least on that block, should have been locked down. Put security guards on every corner. You're supposed to be impregnable. There should be security guards every corner. Everybody outside, whether you're washing windows or you're a gardener, you're detained until the police get there.
is a real video filmed by a tourist of the thieves descending the lift. They escaped on the back of 2 waiting scooters, but not everything went according to plan. In their rush, a 19th century crown was dropped or discarded during their escape and later found by authorities in a nearby alley lying damaged on the ground. Inside the Louvre, police sealed entrances and the museum closed for the day. Forensics teams lifted prints from the lift's controls, pulled surveillance footage from interior corridors and exterior streets. To make sure not to be linked to the robbery, the thieves had rented out the lift truck
Renting out the truck that you're going to see here in a minute, painting it, changing the plate is great. But if you're trying to plan on this, why are you not wearing gloves? Because they just said that they lifted prints.
9 days prior. They placed the order under a fake name, and when the delivery guy came to deliver the lift truck, 2 masked guys showed up to the location and hijacked the truck. They painted it and put up a fake license plate. The initial investigation conclusion was quickly shaped. Experienced professionals exploited a construction site adjacent to the museum as an access to perform a high-level smash and grab. The thieves were last seen heading south on their
Adjacent, not on the site. If it's adjacent and there's a lift there, why isn't security questioning that? Why isn't security questioning the fact that, hey, where's the work order for this? Let's get building maintenance involved.
Scooters, likely aiming for the highway out of Paris altogether. The first part of their mission was successful, but what comes next is way more challenging. With all of France on their tail, will they be able to melt the pieces and see their money? Or will all of it be for nothing? France woke up to more than a theft. It was a blow to national pride that caused a political outcry, with Macron calling the raid an attack on our history. National Rally leader Jordan Bardella said it was an intolerable humiliation, and Marine Le Pen of Front National called it a wound to the French soul. What's even worse, this is not the first French museum to be hit. Since September, 3 museums have been hit in Paris. The National Museum.
There's a pattern. Museums are getting hit. Why isn't the security being beefed up in the museum? Why isn't the museums getting in touch with your police to have more police presence or whatever? One of the things is security is not quantitative. You can't say having a security guard there prevented 9 burglaries, 9 robberies, a homicide. You can't. And when it comes to budgets, that's the first thing to go is security, because you can't quantify it. But trust me, having security there is just as important as having an alarm system. The mere presence of that security officer is preventing much more crime than you know.
Museum of Natural History, the Museum of President Jacques Chirac, and now the Louvre. The pressure on authorities is at an all-time high to put an end to this humiliating pattern and appease the French public. Solving this heist is a race against the clock. Pieces this famous can't be sold intact, which pushes thieves towards breaking them up, melting them, and recutting their stones. That's why the first week following any museum heist is the most important. If pieces are recovered during it, they are usually still intact and can be saved. But beyond the 1-week mark, pieces are typically already gone for good. 800 million euros are on the line.
So they planned this very well with inside help, for sure. What they could do, there's 3 ways to do it. They could break them all up, sell the gold, sell the diamond. Listen, there's a lot of diamonds. That's one way. Then they could also wait a while, and a lot of times the insurance companies will put out a reward. No questions asked. If they, it's a $5 million hit, they'll put out $1 million right now. And, people do that. They actually wait.
Up to now, the thieves have left behind their scooters, the lift, and a yellow vest worn during the heist. With only a few clues available, things are not looking good for the French. Can France catch the thieves and save the jewels before history gets melted down? A question only time can answer.
So a couple of things here. Again, with the string of things going on, you would think that the museums would get a hold of police and have more police presence, more police interaction, number one. Number two, I would have to say that probably someone on the inside was helping them out, because if you're monitoring the cameras and you see that, whether on the inside or the outside, you have the lift show up, you have guys on a balcony breaking into a window with a blowtorch and a chainsaw, and there's no work orders and there's no repair orders, it's logical that somebody was working on that Sunday morning. That was part of this. But again, security, whether it's your personal security, your business, the people that work for you, the ones that you love, whatever, there's no price tag on it. Now, I'm not saying go out and spend billions and millions and hundreds of thousands of dollars, but go out and make sure that you spend enough money where you get quality security, whether that be cameras, alarms, security personnel, whatever you feel that you need for security. Just remember, spend a couple extra dollars to make sure that you get something that's good, that you're going to be able to be protected with.